And don't worry, I brought the Olympic cup for our inspiration. It is
Calgary,
1988 Olympics.
Okay, here we go. We're live.
Hey.
Wow. Hello, everyone. I'm Samantha, and today we have Ben and Jadene with us from Figure Skating Success, skatingsuccess.com. They are in Canada, Edmonton at the moment, and I don't know how many of you around. If you want to ask any question, please feel free to type in the chat box. And well, today we're just doing some casual chat around figure skating around the world, especially in Asia. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I will let Ben and Jadene to introduce themselves if you like to. Is that okay?
Yeah, Samantha, thank you for having us on. We're so grateful to be here. Ben, why don't you start by introducing yourself?
I get to start. Hey,
well, I like to put you in the hot seat.
Perfect. And again, Samantha, thanks for having us on this live this morning. Like this is the introduction. Skating Success is Jadene and I's company, but Ben Ferreira, I'm a former 3-time Canadian medalist, twice a bronze, once a silver, 3-time world team member, 2000, 2002, and 2004.
You like even numbers then?
I do. I like that thing. 2006 almost made that, but not quite. But anyway, but again, someone who transitioned to coaching, very passionate about coaching. I'm a Dartfish certified technologist. I'm a ProMotion harness specialist. So really try to encompass the technical aspect of skating on the sheet, ensuring the base values there with hopefully some positive GOE on the other side of it there too. So that's my role. I'll hand this over to Jadene to introduce herself.
A little bit of an obsession though, like the technical side of skating.
Well, slightly,
like,
yes.
You have to add
that's why we're here. We're obsessed. So yeah.
I love it. And, I think I'm equally as obsessed with the art side of skating. And so that's what makes us a good team. But Ben and I have known each other our whole lives, basically. And so we've been partners on the ice, off the ice, not pairs. Okay, just to be clear. But I do choreography. I have a psychology degree. We're running our company Skating Success, which has now turned into basically an education mecca for people to come into figure skating, whether they're parents, coaches, skaters. We're creating products for everybody and just trying to make sure that our sport continues in a really holistic way, supporting people mind, body, and spirit. And of course, to produce the best performance, because we know that the most memorable performances are the ones where people show their entire selves and their souls. So I'm really interested in that. And of course, that encompasses the costume design and the music editing and the choreography and all of the fun stuff. So we just, we bring all our skills and talents together and try to make it always a great experience, because I think when you love to skate, then you get to grow through the process.
Right. Thank you so much for your introduction about what you guys are doing. And you guys have lots of things to share with us. I mean, we can talk forever about figure skating and holistic and healing. I know you're doing live every day as well, every morning as well. Well, especially I wanted to ask you a few questions. Oh, my husband's keep calling. I will call back. I would especially like to ask you a question about what resource you provide from your platform. I know you have got some programs, especially for coaches, especially for like axel or choreography. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For sure. Well, you want me to begin with that one? Because
sure.
I'll dive into it. Well, the past 8 years, well, my goodness, going on nine in 2021, we've been offering the Skating Success Masterclass series. And one of the visions that we had was to really focus on key specific elements within figure skating for the masterclass. So not just say a seminar, but one that you take where it's going to be a master class. And the first one we flagship was the axle, right, 8 years ago, because we really wanted to dive deep into elements where coaches could be involved in the experience, skaters could be involved in the experience, have the good conversation, have the dartfish, have, again, the choreography on the side of that. So it complements everything on the technical end that we were having the conversation on the masterclass with. So basically, we've been delivering that masterclass, Axel plus Snap plus Vault flipping Lutz. We've had a whole bunch of series on our site, skatingsuccess.com. But the past year, due to unfortunately gatherings and other things too, the model, we had to pivot it a little bit. And we've been focusing on more coach education with our online courses. So basically we took every masterclass and put it into the online course and really started to target coach education, because we thought, well, that's a way that we can at least pivot, provide value within the sphere of what this, whatever we're calling it, is right now. Whatever we're in right now. And then also, you know, when the model does come back to, of course, a more personal service, we always have that as the background too. So there's two different angles with the online, but we also will eventually want to get back to delivering the master classes again once we're able to do so in full force. So
exactly. I love the way you gave that overview of it, because you know what we experienced early on in our coaching career was that we loved being part of a group of coaches and part of the support system of coaching, because every coach that gets to work with skaters can make a huge impact, right? Because there's so much ripple effect from one coach to many. And so in our masterclass series, we decided, hey, let's join hands and forces with every single coach that attends these classes and create a coaches circle. We actually now have a Facebook group called the Coaches Circle, which is free to join. You can just jump in on our Facebook page, Skating Success. But the intention was always to collaborate, right? To connect with people so that they felt super empowered throughout the day, and that they felt like they had the support of a coaching team going out into the world. And so that's really what the coaching courses are now, is that coaches, no matter where they're coaching in the world, do not have to do it alone, and do not have to think that, you know, someone knows more than them. It's that somebody can partner with them, right? And support them. And so they can feel that feeling that it feels like when you do work on a team and you feel supported and you don't have to have every single answer, but you can still impart great information. So that's kind of what we've been really focused on, is the excitement of spreading that message. And of course, and becoming Zoom experts, you know, with all the skaters. We're over 300 Zoom sessions in now.
And webinars and the whole thing, right? Becoming into this whole world, and lives like today, right? Like we're doing all of that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of, well, I think personally meeting some great people just across the country,
and also
you know,
Samantha
and you know, meeting up with you and doing all of this. It's been just a fantastic experience. And like you say, the community that we've been able to be a part of is just huge, and the conversation's always ongoing. And that's why I think it's, for us, it was important to do that and to really share, because, you know, the world's changing, right? And there's no arguing that. But also, I think coaching is changing. You know, coaching's changing, and delivery's changing. There's a lot more demands on coaches. There's a lot more need to have that support system of a team, because today it's just too sophisticated. You know, the technical, the choreography, everything. And so we really want to be able to offer that kind of philosophy within our masterclass systems and courses, definitely.
How coaching changing? How coaching changing nowadays?
Well, I mean, do you want to take that for a little bit?
Well, I think, you know, before, and it's hard to know exactly when, you know, because the change is ongoing, right? It keeps going on. But for example, if somebody is trying to find a starting point to learn something right now, it's really hard, because all of the detail keeps getting layered and layered and layered. So the judging system, the program components, if you even just want to understand, for example, 1 out of the 5 program components, you can dive completely deep into that. But while you're over there, you may be missing out on understanding the scale of values and the GOE and the criteria. Then you want to go into every level. Let's say you're coaching skaters that are, you know, 6 years old to 15 years old. You might be teaching 10 different levels, which have all their own requirements that also change every single year. So the amount of just intellectual understanding and resource grabbing, we haven't even talked about how to teach an axle yet, or how to choreograph a program. So there's so many layers and facets to it now that really, when you have support in a team, you have more fun, because you don't have to have everything in one person's head. Is that kind of what you think?
And I just think the days of the coach, the one coach being the chief cook and the bottle washer.
Yeah.
because it is too sophisticated today, right? I mean, as say, if I'm managing the athlete, I've got to go, okay, fine, I can leverage my time for this amount of it, but also I might need help with edge. I need the choreography. I need people that can do a lot of these different angles to support that skater in their own personal journey of skating success. But for me to be the chief cook and bottle washer of the whole operation, that's just absolutely, like today, I couldn't even imagine that. So that's where, that's where it's evolved and changed, because as it's got more sophisticated, the demands of the head coach have. And so we really want to bring that to light in the fact that, it can be done as a team. People do have strengths. You find talented people that have that. Bring them in, fold them in, go, look, this is what I see. This is where I think we need to develop. This is how we need to do it as, say, the head coach. Or, hey, like, look, I sometimes I'm doing just harness as a specialist over here, because that's maybe my niche over here to help the head coach do this. So we're all trying to integrate and support the athlete become the absolute best that we can be. And I just think, if you're the chief bottle, I mean, good luck. So.
Do you think this theory apply to even beginner or intermediate level, like below axel, or even just double jumps? Do you think this kind of teamwork coaching is actually applied to this?
Yes, one of the exact examples I can give you is, people will tell me a lot, why are you working on the choreography in such detail when the skater is just doing their first program? But if you think about it, if you do not integrate the art at the beginning with somebody, it's so foreign to them later that it's almost like they're behind the 8 ball when they're trying to catch up later with choreography. So right at the start, you want to set the stage with all those pieces, right? It'd be like saying, well, I'll put the child in school, but they don't need to learn math until they're like 12. Okay, so, they kind of need math all the way along, as well as reading and writing and science and all the things. So if you think of skating in that way, and it is a holistic training idea, but you do want to start from the beginning with those different components, understanding the art, understanding the technical, understanding the mental training even. And then how do you accomplish that? Usually you need a team of people, right? Usually you need a team of people around. And you know what's so cool about today, which we're finally getting to? The person doesn't have to be at your club. The person can be virtual. The person can be across the world, right? I'm doing choreography on Zoom right now all over the world, because guess what? That's where we're living, and it's awesome, and it's working really well.
Well, this is another big thing I wanted to show my friends, a coach in Asia, knowing that mental support is not that common in Asia, especially in Hong Kong. I don't know, I cannot speak for Taiwan or Japan or whatever, but it's not that popular. How does it look like in Canada? Is it quite popular?
Well, Canada's so broad, right? We're such a huge country, and there's so many regional differences. It's hard to say, like, as a country, but I think that it is part of the ideology of our national brand, per se. But, what I always come back to is, in this sport, you end up closing the gate, and the skater has to go out by themselves. So it's them and their brain in that moment.
Yes.
And if we don't address that, and we don't help them learn how to deal with that, and learn how to be self-sufficient and trust themselves and be authentically empowered. And that does take time, right? And practice. If we don't do that in layers as they grow, then it's really a bit of a challenge later on, or a disservice to them. So I know you have more to say on this.
Well, no, and I think that's a good point that you make about it being very geographic, because, our country is a very big landmass, okay, but it's a very small population. I mean, there's more people in the state of California than there are in the whole of Canada. And so, 35 million people. But at the same time, our I think, like you say, our brand about that too, and where you go to major, say, or high performance centers, you're going to see the team aspect, because now with the system being in place the way it is, it really demands that of high performance to have every single part of the athlete. You look at the athlete, and they're supported by the harness person, they're supported by the head coach, they're supported by the stroking, they're supported by every high performance center is going to have that. But I mean, even look at the top of the world, even look at Russia, it's Team Tubaritse. You see that? It's team, boom, and they're all there. Like, even IM Montreal, it's a team. It's that's what is going on at the top level today. Yeah. So, you take a look at that and you go, well, obviously that's what's successful, because, if, again, we're trying to be that chief cook and bottle washer and really rise to a level of high performance, you're going to need the high performance team on the bus.
Yeah. And even when you were skating, so you started working with our now business partner, Stephanie Hanlon, to enhance your mental training, and the difference that it made. And this is like 2000, like a very short time, but the difference of actually focusing on it for you took you to the top of the world. And, you know, you still see it today. Stephanie is very integrated in the IAM team. She's a partner there. She's a partner with Skating Success. This philosophy of holistic training and training the person and then the results, you know, training everyone as a champion. And you'll hear that in the interview she does, or with Patrice Lauzon or Marie-France Debray, Romain Hagenauer. That whole idea really is what's taking skating and changing it and making it more accessible. And more people feel like they win because they're actually training at the highest level, mentally and physically.
Yes. Well, this is exactly, you know, going through this submit process, you know, a lot of my friends like David, Sawyer, Bonellis, and, you know, those people come from old day. You know, nobody cares if you fall down, just stand up and do it again, right? But all of them, they say, if I could have known this awareness much earlier, that would be much better. And oh my God, this is really the key. And you see, I feel like the whole mentality of training as a figure skater has changed, has evolved, has integrated. And like Ben said, you know, you can't cook the dinner and wash the bottle exactly the same time, right? Come on, no.
Well, you can, but you're gonna burn yourself out, man. Like you know, like, and that's the hard part. Is, you know, it's really funny you say, I don't mean to interject, Samantha, but you know, when you said if I only knew what I knew now, and you know, that's totally what goes on in my brain. But because, you know, in the 90s it was just kind of, it was totally different, right? But again, the sport was different, right?
Yes.
So we can't go, okay, you know, if I only knew this, I would have been whatever, because it wasn't the same today. Like it's now today, it's like you missed that rotation on the spin, you're now 2nd to 7th. You're like this. So it demands that level of detail and high performance, and like you say, the team. So I'm glad you bring that up.
Yeah, I really, really try my best to bring this awareness out that kids, skater, teenager, they have to pay attention to their mindfulness. They're aware of the body, how they feel. It's not only about jump, spin, edge. Well, come on. Eventually, you're not going to do jump and spin all day until you die, right? So you still, like, more importantly is how these people, young people, to see their life eventually and make this hobby as a lifelong hobby and as a long journey. So every bit of learning is important to me as a mother, as a coach. I'm sure you're doing exactly the same thing, like how you help your student in a holistic way.
Yeah, we really folded in. Yesterday is a good example. You know, the skaters come on Zoom and they're ready to do their workout. And I said, Kate, it's journal time, grab your journal, you know, let's check in. And we just did a little self-check. And it's not that it has to be overwhelming or super time consuming, but yeah, check in with how you feel, your stability, your strength, your mental, your emotional, and then folding it in. I mean, for us now, it's so natural because we've been doing it for so long. But even if you're a coach just starting out, you can trust yourself to know which little pieces you want to fold in, and it's not weird, right? You're not a weirdo, or if you are, then we're all weirdos together.
Well, and again, you mentioned some great points, but also remember, you know, if they're really truly going to become a performer, right? Like to step out there, to take that starting pose, how do they show up, right? And the support system behind them is going to dictate who they are in that moment or not, and how they show up. So that's very key today, I think, is empowering them so that they can become the performer, because they're going to show up themselves, but also if they have that support, they're going to show up in such a different light and become that memorable performance, just the way we see it, right? So that's a huge point that you make, definitely. Yeah.
Right. Right. I hope a lot of my friends in Hong Kong and Asia can hear that. Well, figure skating is actually a lot more fun, and you know, I speak a little bit on behalf of my country, from Hong Kong. We are student here are very school oriented. We look at sport quite differently. We have to, juggling between school and you can't really put a lot of time in figure skating. And I understand parents can be so focused on school and future, right? How do you look at the whole thing as a sport?
Like for mental training?
Yeah, as a development for kids, the sport itself.
Can I take this one?
Sure, okay. Go ahead.
You first of all have to define what achievement is, okay? So for me, when I say, because I might have a parent come say, okay, I want my daughter to win. Great. Okay, so let's define what that is, right? Yeah. The nice thing is with our system today is we get a printout of a sheet. Yeah. And I call compete against your sheet, okay? Yeah. You have a score on that sheet that we have a benchmark at. And what we're going to do is we're going to increase that score all the way along your career, okay, based upon what you can do well, what you can do reliably, what you can do consistently, how you perform it, right? And we're going to work on increasing that number. Hey, it might land you on the top of the podium. We're going to celebrate that. It might put you 5th place, and that's the best score that you've got. And we're going to celebrate that because that's the best that you've got. So I think really framing it and defining that initially by going, you compete against your own personal sheet of your own personal skating success, that levels the conversation, because then you can go, okay, fine, it's how we define it. And sure, we all want to be at the top of the podium. I wanted to be on the top of the podium. We compete, we all do. But if you really get down to it now, if I look at the sport today, and it was kind of fun because I was in the transition of that in the new system, like 04 to 06. And I was like, oh, wow, 68.89. That's my personal best. And then, you love those numbers. Yeah, I like that stuff. And then, you want to go to 70. You want to kick it up. You want to go, okay, fine. Can I get more GOE on this? Can I get a different level this? And so that's where I think I've really had great success with having that conversation, is competing against your own personal score.
I want to add one thing to this as well, because especially when you're saying parents focus on school, and there are 3 things that people want their children to be able to do in university. So I link this to the top. Let's say your kid does really, really well in their grades, and they make that school the top school, and they're in the medical program, or that they pass the LSAT. What are the 3 things they're going to need to be able to do once they get there? Number 1, time management. They're going to have to manage their time. They're going to have 6 courses, a full load, have to understand how to study, when to study. Figure skating teaches you great time management.
Yes.
Number 2, you are going to be really required to do more things in less time. So not only time management, but time efficiency. Well, guess what else figure skating does? It teaches you at a very young age, no, you don't have all night to study. You have 45 minutes between sessions, so get it done now. And then the 3rd thing it does is perform under pressure. There is nothing like the hot seat of performing under pressure in figure skating. By the way, usually wearing a revealing outfit, right? So feeling a little bit, self-conscious. And then there's a 360-degree audience. And now every single thing you do is not only going to be live streamed, it's going to be on the computer for anyone to check. I think walking into an exam in university is a little less stressful than that. So I always tell parents, they're all the skills earlier on through this sport.
Wow. Exactly. I hope a lot of my friend can hear that. Parent can look into the sport and in different angle, maybe different perspective. And also the other thing I especially want to ask you both, have you ever thought of you guys already the best and you don't have to teach, have to learn anymore?
The opposite, I think.
And here's, okay, so let's have that conversation. My mind's like a parachute. It only works when it's open. Okay, but here's my disclaimer too. It's not that my brain is so open that it falls out either. Okay, because I have to stand for something, or else I'll fall for anything. Does that make sense? I always want to go, okay, if I go to a seminar or I want to listen and I want to learn, I want to go, okay, how would that work? Like how would that do that? But also, when I did a triple Lutz, yeah, okay, I felt this. Is that going to be applicable, right? Like, so my mind is open, but it's analyzing and going, okay, is this true? Does this make sense? I'm not just going to fall for anything. I'm not just going to let it all fall out and go, oh yeah, that's the way it is now because he said so, right? I'm going to really critique it, but I always feel like I have it open because, hey, I've been to some great I like that. I like that. I'm going to incorporate that. You know why? I've been looking for an undercut exercise. I've been looking for that. And that was exactly what I was looking for. And how it was delivered was great too. So, hey, you know what? I want to talk to you about that undercut exercise a little bit more, coach, on the thing. And then we have a great conversation. That's what it's all about. And then what's great is I implement it and I see some skating success. And you know what? And it gets better, you know? So there's that too. But also I might look at that and go, I'm not sure if I agree with the left arm doing this or, you know, going back over. I'm not sure because I don't really buy that. So that's a philosophy that, you know, I'll listen to everything out there, but at the end of the day, I make my own decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think as a choreographer, if I thought I knew everything, my life would get really boring because I would start choreographing the same thing over and over. And I don't like getting bored. I like being inspired. I have to be honest though, I mostly get inspired from outside of our sport. I'll get inspired by watching, you know, a bird fly by, or I'll get inspired by watching a billboard as I'm driving somewhere, or watching a movie, and then integrating those ideas and those concepts into movement and art on the ice. I'm always learning. I'm always interested in learning more. So, and
I think even to go to master class, I don't ever want to come in and be like, this is how it's done and this is the way it's an open-ended conversation. Because if I have a coach come up and go, I don't agree with what you're doing there, and I'll go, okay, why not? Let's have that conversation. Because underlying everything, I've got to defend at the highest level of my own personal skating success and at my own personal experience, everything that I'm delivering. I have to defend that. But also I have to go, you know, you might have a great point. Maybe I should look at that. And then the conversations evolves with that professional or whatever. Does that make sense? So I'm always wary of that too, about going, okay, so yeah, I did say, but also, yeah, you make a good point, but also this is where I'm coming from. And then we can get level and flat on it and take it to the next level. Does that kind of make sense? It's you know, yeah. You know, it's a great way to approach the whole process because, like we say, the sport's changing, but the fundamentals don't change. It's just the way of going about it, right? So.
Yes, totally. It's just to cultivate that bit of curiosity, that accept there is more stuff out there. You know, I always teach my kid in the other way around, like if you don't cultivate your curiosity when you are small, then one day when you're grown up, you have to learn to ask questions and ask yourself why you have to do this, like what can make you do better. It's not, this is something that you cannot learn from school. The teacher will tell you, you have to do this homework on time. But then, okay, if you are trying to manage something that you're truly passionate about, of course you can hold like blaming that I'm born in Hong Kong, I don't have, no. You have loads of reason for you not achieving it. But I just want to ask one question. Do you have just one reason for you to hang on? And one reason for you to dig deeper and be curious to be the better person, that somehow you have to be brave enough to accept the fact that there is a lot more things that I don't know out there. Well, it's not easy to accept, but that's truly, I really want to spread the message that let everybody knows that to cultivate your curiosity. I'm sure all the choreographers, great teachers, they almost the same. They almost say the same.
I'll let you leave that one.
Yes.
I think if you're not having fun as the person that's delivering the message, then why are you doing it? So, you know, I love to watch the skaters have fun, but I want to have fun too. And I have way more fun when I'm learning and when I'm open and when I'm curious. I love that word, just curious. And there's enough in front of you when you're working with a skater to be curious about, because, you know, sometimes a skater is coming to you and they're not wanting to do choreography, or they're not really open to the art form. And then you have to get curious about that. Well, how can we make this fun? How can we create together? Sometimes it's about dreaming up a new story for them, or helping them with their identity, or maybe making something that's really in their realm. I'll give you a really fun example. When I was a first young choreographer and working with skaters, and I was really close in age to a lot of the skaters actually. And I was working with a young man, and he was just disgruntled. He did not want any part of figure skating. I had no idea why he was even there. So I said, what would you rather be doing? And he said, I just want to go home and play my video games. And I said, oh,
what's stopping you?
Cool, okay. Then I asked him, I said, is there music in your video games? And he was like, yeah, there's really cool music in the video game. I'm like, well, how about we skate to that? What do you think of making a solo out of your video game music? And it's like he lit up. He just went, we could do that? And I'm like, yeah. And then you can show me all the moves from the video game. And he was like, that's so cool. And I mean, it just turned a corner for him. And if I hadn't been curious about it and just gone, you be quiet and you skate the way I want you to, I would have missed the journey. He would have missed the fun. The kid ended up loving skating. He ended up doing a bunch of other years of skating and doing nationals and all this stuff. And I'm grateful that that curiosity and not having to be the know-it-all in that moment really opened that door.
And I mean, you make so many great points, but I think that being curious is the ultimate in being passionate, because passion, if we're not passionate about this, I mean, forget, because passion gives so much energy to your life. It gives so much energy to the process, because it is a process. If we're going in coaching, it's a process. It's a grind. Then we go get the results. How do we measure it? Good. Okay, then we grind again. And we always be curious about, and this is where I never like to get complacent. I always go, how do we make this better? How can we make this better? What's missing here? Where's that little thing that we can go, and never get complacent with? Because, you know, people on the high horse, if you're on the high horse, you often run into a low branch. How do you think I know that? but it's true. And and once you're up there, you've got to realize, okay, fine, you've got to really keep asking that question. And even down here, if you're down at you got to go, because when people win, they tend to party. When they lose, they tend to ponder, right? And then it's in that pondering that I've had where I go, like how does that's a much more interesting place to be, to really ask those kind of questions of how things can be better.
Wow, see how powerful is that? Well, you see, Ben is one of the speakers for the summit, and can you imagine 18, not including myself, because I'm, my level is probably the worst in the summit, but all of you guys basically saying very similar thing. This is the champion mindset. That's how we named it, powerful mind. And I consider figure skating, it just have, Tommy will just say, Ted Wilson used to tell me figure skating trained to become a successful person, which is absolutely true. And to me, people might find me snobbish saying like figure skating is a champion sport. Unfortunately, this is a champion sport because you have to have this bit of strength of mind and be curious and be courage enough to keep doing it. And there's a lot more to learn. And this is not just about jump and spin anymore. And this is much more than that. It's like an ocean. If you dive deep, you don't see the bottom. This is sort of things that I perceive, I understand. And, in the summit, Ben is going to dive deep in the video analyze and more about the technical thing, more in the training, like daily training, how we help student and even coach. So this is, don't limit yourself to knowledge. Never say no to knowledge. Like to me, it's never say no. Yes. Okay, I'm in, right? Leave yourself a room to improve. This is really what I want to spread in here. So,
and I just want to tell you before I interrupt, Samantha, you've done just such a great job putting this together, and I really respect your vision for this, and I think it's going to be just fantastic, and just at the most appropriate time. And your vision, your passion, what you've put into this, it was a great interview. I had a great time, and I wanted to say that just off the top, that I just think that you've done just fantastic work on this, and we're both really excited of being part of this question and answer today, but also being part of the summit for myself. Just a huge honor, and it just well done, really good job.
Well, thank you so much. Really, especially coming from you guys, really very, very loving. And all the coach or figure skater or whoever watching this live now or replay, if you want to reach out to Ben and Jadene, please go to the. Do you think can you type it on the chat box or?
Oh yeah, totally.
I'll
just put our website in there for you guys, and on every social, it's at Skating Success. It's pretty simple.
Yes.
www.skatingsuccess.com. That's where we can do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And check this out. And I know a lot of figure skater from Asia. We stuck in axles and some edges, but they have got amazing resources there. And please check that out. Skating Success.
If you just Googled Skating Success, I'm sure all of our stuff would come up too.
Okay, I have to send. Can you see the chat?
I think so. It says private chat on my screen.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh wow, we got a big chat there. Holy smokes! Didn't even see that. That's great. Getting a lot of good stuff.
So fun.
A lot of good stuff there, and it's never ending learning. There's always new stuff coming up, and there's always better way to teach, always better ways to learn, and so much resources out there. Just don't tell yourself that we don't have ice now, we have to stop. No, you don't have to, because there's loads of stuff you can do, right, Jadene?
Yeah, exactly. And also I want to tell people to don't be hard on yourself if there's something you're not understanding, because everybody starts with zero. Everybody, everything that somebody knows, they have had to go through the learning process as well. Okay?
There never was a winner who wasn't also a beginner, right?
That's right, and a learner. And then on the other side of that, everyone has something great to bring to the table as well. So honor where you've come from, honor what you do know, what you've learned, because that honoring is the gateway to opening what's next and learning the next thing. So it's like, just be in the learning process, enjoy it. You'll have more fun, and it's less stressful when you're not being hard on yourself for what you don't know.
Right. May I ask you last bit before we go? During this pandemic, like, how do you keep up with your student and your teaching, and this time, how do you keep up with that? Can you share a bit with us?
Yeah. So depending on their age range, right? Like if they're really young, we've been doing emails with parents and of course doing Zoom classes. And then if they're a little bit older, more competitive, we have a very consistent Zoom schedule. They're just like 5 days a week on Zoom. We also have like a chat. So we put in like quotes and inspiration and checking in and that kind of thing. And of course, email the parents as well. And you can see we're pretty active on social media, so they can come on our social and see what we're up to all the time. But it has been definitely a pivot to technology and being online as much as we can and being that resource. But I think the main thing I've learned, I don't know, you'll probably add to this, but the consistency, like we've done 5 days a week of Zoom with the sort of the more competitive kids, week in, week out, whenever they weren't skating. So it's given us a way, like kind of back to that mindset idea, to help keep consistently building their mind as well as their body with all the flexibility and jumping that they do with Ben, etc. So,
well, and it's been a very interesting year. I mean, if I just go back to January this time last year, we were preparing for one event in February and then March, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was the first lockdown. And we're totally, like, we're not even like remotely allowed to step on even an outdoor rink. Like, that's it. So that lasted for 3 months, and then we do Zooms like this. Then in the summer, we started getting back on the ice. We started having a plan, and then fall, we had one event for Alberta. That was it. Boom. And then then of course now we've been locked out arenas for us anyway. Yeah, 6 weeks, December 11th, right? So now it's like this. But also, the kids can go skate outdoors if they want to, right? So it's different. So you've got to be willing to just be flexible with it and create a weekly plan now, not just a monthly plan. Like it's like, what's going on today? Well, yeah, that's what's going on. So then you have to adjust to it, right? And so it's being flexible, but also creating, your communications and your stuff a little bit more on the fly and being a little bit more attentive to that kind of detail. It really has been, yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, you both. Thank you so much for all your sharing. And for those who have not joined the summit yet, please go join quickly. because this is something you should not miss. This is something really, really great. You know, the more I look at the video myself, the more I'm loving it. I watch it over and over again. Really huge healing power and lots of knowledge. And every time I listen to it, every time we're preparing notes, remember our whole team is preparing notes. The more I look at it, oh my gosh, this is so good. This point, we have to drop it. It's getting longer and longer. So for those love figure skating, passionate about teaching, and even you're a dancer, even you are a performer, don't miss this chance. Really, the call is on your hand, and to be a more successful person like you dream of.
Yeah, jump in there, guys. Don't miss it, because the thing is, this first summit will never happen again. This moment in time. And what if it unlocks something for you? What if you hear something that makes you feel like, wow, I am doing this well? That could be worth your price of entry, right? You don't know. You don't know what emotional outcome for you. And we all are going to need that feeling of support and this community that Samantha's creating. If we can all access it, why not?
Yes, supporting each other, sharing, we grow, and skaters think together. All right, thank you so much, Ben and Jadene. It's time to say goodbye to our audience, but don't hesitate. Okay, feel free to reach out to skatingsuccess.com. I will send the Facebook group in a bit there. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Samantha. That was great. Let's do it again sometime. That was awesome. Let's do it again. Yeah, I loved it. It was great. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna close it, but you guys don't leave yet. Okay.
Okay. We'll hang out.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Thank you, guys.
All right.